such a driven person, I think it can be hard to not have people around you that are just as driven. In fact, I think Kris has mentioned that even finding friends that would understand the way he leads his life has been hard. Because a lot of people look at him and are like, you are so weird. Or question it and say, come on, man, you don't really always push yourself to the next, like you're not always pushing, right? People are like, what do you do for fun? And he's like, business. I'm like, no, man, really, what do you do for fun? And he means it. Like, his most fun is when he is pushing things forward. It's either at the gym or when he's working on a business deal. That's when he's having the most fulfillment in life. And I think that's hard for people to understand.
He's a giant in the real estate investing space. I've learned a lot from Kris over the years.
One of my favorite real estate investors, his name is Kris Krohn.
15 years ago from absolutely nothing and has done hundreds of $1 million in deals now.
Kris doesn't draw a distinction between personal life and business life. It's just his life. And everyone, finds their own work-life balance, and that's fine. He's found the most balance by commingling the roles and putting them together.
And a lot of people know you as a real estate guy, but the reality is you're a humanitarian, athlete, bodybuilder.
This guy, business coach, best-selling author, world-class speaker, life-changing breakthrough mentor, and more importantly, YouTube channel.
So when you look at Kris and this massive energy that he brings to life, to work, to family activities, there are times when the business side of things becomes extremely intense. And not everybody, including those of us who are family members, necessarily agree with it all. I have had periods of time where I disagreed with everything he was doing. And that gives me and it gives everybody the opportunity to grow, to examine these things and to decide where we stand.
Is Kris Krohn a scam? I don't know that he's a scam, but I do think he's kind of a bad deal for the investor.
He's really just a f***ing stupid hype man with a stupid haircut.
I see that for his flaws, that Kris has a true heart and a good heart, and he tries more intensely and at a bigger level than 99.9% of the people on the planet, and you don't always get it right.
Oh, Mr. Knightley.
He stabbed himself in the eye.
Hey, good morning. Sorry, we just started. We just realized we needed 30 extra minutes.
Yep, no problem. Glad you'd asked.
Kris is a huge personality, and I think it's a blessing. I know it's a blessing overall, but with that huge personality comes unintended side effects or unintended consequences. I think he elicits a lot of respect, and he doesn't demand it. He just elicits it. People respect him for his results, for the way he carries himself, for his family, and the people that are closest to Kris understand that he has high standards for the people that he wants to spend his time with. And those standards have gone up over time.
He cares so much about the placement of the church.
Hey! What? Okay, I'm getting Kris Krohn's shirts.
I think we're getting away with it. You know what?
It's shiny.
I love
it's
that.
It's freaking shiny.
I love that even more.
Yes, I know.
Okay, and then we don't have gray, right?
No.
Okay. Because we're wasting so much time. It's just lack of presence. We got to be focused because of what's about to go down. First of all, welcome.
And I'll turn up the second. And then when they open doors, we'll go, I'm ready, and we'll kick it off.
Seriously, do we know where Jameson's at? At least a little second.
I don't. I haven't seen him. Thank you.
Kris doesn't have to do any of this. With what he's got in the portfolios he has, he could shut down events, he could shut down this company, and he, on his own, could live out his life in the most luxurious manifestation of his divinity that he wanted to. But he doesn't. And it's because his mission is so important to him.
Their gift is vision. Their commitment is action. Their passion is prosperity. Hundreds of people, countless deals, unlimited possibilities. REIC's founder, Kris Krohn, started questioning real estate in 2002 and soon after began a quest. Kris set out to create the most comprehensive real estate strategy ever.
Essentially, people would come to Kris and be like, show me how to do real estate. And you kind of realized, we can make a business out of this, showing people how he got into real estate. So they did REIC, and I think the branding was a little weak on that because it was an investor club. It doesn't sound super official. And then there was the whole thing with the SEC. An ex-employee reported the company to the SEC. They had a connection there, so they came in and did this big investigation.
In talking about the SEC investigation, I was there literally the day that they escorted she who must not be named out of the office. The whole SEC investigation was sheer retribution on her part for having terminated her for cause, and I won't go into what the cause was. And so the claims themselves were massively trumped up.
And I don't understand all the details on that. There was some sort of, settlement, although I don't think it's considered that with the SEC. There was some fine they had to pay, which it's impressive because usually the SEC just comes in and shuts companies down. The fact that they walked away with a small fine is significant, at least in my eyes.
What they learned from this is there's a way that you handle these things and there's a way you don't handle these things. And insofar as the actual investigation went and all of that, I think Kris also has learned not to allow people to railroad you into just conceding, oh, I'm going to plead fifth sort of a thing, which instantly makes people feel you're guilty. I think in hindsight, he would have fought it and he would have won.
I was finishing up grad school and applying to lots of jobs, and I applied to a random job called Strongbrook. Got hired. I actually didn't even ever meet Kris until I was already on the job working. I think it was my second day that I met Kris. And I was in a broom closet. They gave me an old Mac, and I just started editing his stuff. The man teaches a lot. You put a camera on him and he can talk for hours. And that's what they gave me, was footage and audio of just him teaching. And I had to go through and splice it all together and make something from it. So I think at first I really got to know Kris through the recordings of him teaching.
One of my greatest philosophies in life that you may want to write down, in fact, I'd recommend it highly. Let me teach you this. If you want something done right, don't do it yourself.
People are always like, how did you go from being a video editor to CEO? Kris was looking for an office manager, and I piped up and I was like, why don't we promote from within? And Kris looked at me and goes, who would we promote from within? We don't have anybody. And I said, what about me? And Kris laughed at me, laughed in my face. And I knew it was kind of a long shot. I was like, I'd never really shown him that side of me, of being a leader. But he came back a week later and said, okay, we'll give you a shot. Let's see what you can do. I think the easiest way to describe Kris Krohn is an influencer. And this term gets thrown around a lot, but the idea is it's someone that's putting messages out there that impact people and get them to make decisions or change their lives. And so Kris is first and foremost like a real estate influencer, teaching people how to get into real estate. But it goes beyond that, of course. In all aspects of life, he's very into health, very into business, money, relationships. He's sort of intense in all aspects of life. If you're familiar with Tony Robbins or Grant Cardone, Kris is he's in that world. And in fact, I think our goal as a company is to surpass Tony and Grant Cardone.
He has that very alpha male driven personality, and sometimes people get trampled in it, and there were some misunderstandings.
So Kris is a very ambitious man, and he is always in hyperdrive mode. And his family sees that too. And they each have their own balance with that. Watching how his children respond to that has been very, very interesting.
But watching their journey together over the years, I think Kalen has been a great influence on him with respect to unconditional love, with respect to sort of tapping into that tender side of things, being able to let down that persona of being perfect all the time. I think she's been a tremendous influence that way.
We got each other through college.
Yeah, I was going to say, you studied together.
We studied together. He ended up doing the same major as me because he was dabbling in real estate and working.
He was already there?
Oh, yeah.
Like mentally it was all about...
Well, it took a couple years. I mean, he was a nobody. He was this kid. He just barely got to college. But to me, it was, Kris Krohn just walked by. How could I say no to that? And he was just this
You were his first
kid.
fan. You were his first dancer.
I know. But he was really cute.
I am worthless without my wife, seriously. I really feel like that too. Like if God ever put me through the challenge of like losing my wife, I would have to reinvent all over again. Yeah. Because she is so central to my why. There's not things that I want that don't include her. Yeah. And usually at the very core it's her. Yeah. And I'm like, how does this woman be so worked that everything, all creation, everything, like everything's for her. Yeah. It's like her God.
Come here, love.
What did you get to do? It was your first full event. Excited? Now, do you want a journal for taking some notes? So creating wealth in my life and creating it in others has really become a very empowering part of who I am and why I love the life that I live. We're actually going to do this interview off the scenes. I'm going to take you out to my secret hideout, right? My house. It's just 2 minutes from here. Hey, how's it going, honey?
Kiddos.
How you doing? We're just going to set up in the office. I just want to take our friends over a little bit. I want to give them the inside scoop on the creation of the book, Straight Path to Real Estate Wealth. So this is my sweetheart. And this is my little daughter who
Hi, Lisa.
fights with me for attention, and she usually wins. How you doing, honey? And my wife's doing a good job. Big with child, number 3 on the way. Right on. I love you. How you doing? Good. Good day?
Kris is very encouraging. He's very loving, but sometimes I think some of that may be missed in his quest for perfection for himself as well as for his children.
What you should have done was to close your eyes and to take 3 calm breaths. But because you didn't, that's why you get the major maintenance. Okay? Now I'm going to give you your second instruction.
They're each doing well. They're each moving forward to become their best version of themselves. But Kris does cast a very large shadow. And trying to live up to that image for any human being is a challenge.
In our church, Kris's calling is young men's leader. That means that every week he goes out with all the young men in his neighborhood, helps them with their scouting, helps them with learning life principles. In terms of hierarchy within the church, I've never heard Kris complain about it once. And I think that's admirable because he can say within this realm, I'm just here to serve. And I think I've seen the same thing with him and his family, that when it comes to his time with his kids, he's very intentional with it and focuses on them and their needs. I don't think he regrets being a family man at all.
Okay, what are you guys excited to see? So Lisa wants to see the sharks.
Otters,
The sea otters are epic here.
Epic.
What this comes down to, this topic of Kris's family life, family is where you're gonna find the most joy in life. And any decision you make that threatens family cohesion should be questioned and evaluated and maybe passed on.
Kris loves his children. I think he is so driven, it makes it hard for him to slow down and give them that just, I'm here for you, let's hang out sort of activity. But he does like to spend quality time, and he will set aside quality time to be with them. Being a present parent requires huge sacrifice. And I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about your very soul, your every attention you have goes to those little
What
ones.
this one is, you see its color? Looks like it's had some moss on it.
Yes, I love that. He hates the song Weak by because he goes, because I'm weak. So I blasted that one while he was on stage. I don't
Too bothered.
Oh yeah, no,
It was after everyone broke, but people were still in the room.
Yes, that was totally intentional.
And then then you played Barbie Girl.
Every morning at breakfast between, it's usually 8 and 9 or sometimes 8:30 and 9, we do like life lessons and stuff. So a lot of the stuff that he teaches on here, we go through like every morning and stuff. So
What a great
that's interesting. Did you want to be Kris Krohn's daughter?
And this is where we're setting up the stage for ultimately releasing him into the world, saying, can you be a government unto your own self? Can you dictate your own life? I always talk to adults about conscious creation. My life is dedicated to it. But bringing that into our home with our children before they even become youth, I think this is going to end up having game changer impact on just the dynamics of our family.
Babes, you gotta
517 in
you're gonna have to know before arrow break how many people per team leader. It's probably 15.
I know. I'm on top of it. I got it. Take it off your plate.
So you're gonna have 5 or 10 of our peeps. I know, Queen. We're gonna have 5 or 10 of our peeps who are like, well, I'm not team leader, but I work here and I love this. And it's like,
I've already reached out to them all. They already have jackets.
I don't care if you're CEO. There's no title that
I am
precludes
aware
you
of
from
that.
making the event the event.
Thank you so much. I am aware of that. I've got your back.
Ooh, close call.
I mean, I have to admit 100% that Kris's faith through his life has shaped who he is today, and not just on a very surface level, not just like he doesn't drink alcohol because he's a Latter-day Saint. Like, no, on a deeper level. And I think there's a couple of things about the church that really lend weight to this idea of being the best version of yourself. And I think Kris has taken it to heart a lot more than maybe most people.
What they would do here is they would put the stones here, and then they'd build the fence on top of it.
Doesn't it always seem to work out even if you struggle financially? When you get older, if you have financial struggles, you'll find out that no matter how much you stress about not having maybe at times enough money, there's always time and energy for what matters most, which is doing the will of God. That's more important than building any kind of wealth.
So if someone wakes up every day saying, I am gonna be the best version of myself, and some days I fail, some days I succeed, but the point is every day I try. Not try a little, try my hardest to be the best version of myself, it would absolutely shape that individual. And that's what's happened to Kris, I think, is he is striving perfection in every area that he talks about. He believes it comes down to your health, your wealth, your connections, your relationships, and then your personal power, your ability to be the person you were meant to be.
He is harder on himself than he is on anybody else. When he fails, he takes it really hard. The whole point of God sending his son to earth was because we're not going to be perfect, and we can't be perfect, and it's okay, and he's okay with that. I don't know that Kris is okay with that.
Oh, do we have the Limitless books handed out to VIPs? And did the other handouts?
So Kris's intensity and Kris's desire to always be looking to the next thing and moving to the next thing has had some negative impacts in his relationships with people.
Unhealthy. My understanding is that April is shifting full-time.
Mm-hmm.
Is this true?
Yeah, she's been full-time for the past couple weeks.
Awesome, cool. That's all good and wonderful. One of the things that I wanted to talk to you about now that I know that that's kind of happening-ish, I am very interested in raising our standards of what an event looks like.
Mm-hmm.
We're putting on an amazing event. I'm also experiencing the least amount of drama. And by the way, April does a really, really, really great job. But because she has been in the past part-time, we are late. So that's my second data point is everything is always late, and then late always creates the drama. The drama that we experience in event setup, everything across the board comes to tardiness. If that was a byproduct of her working ultra part-time, because this is the person over the weekend, then third data point, I texted because the event is days out. She said, it's the weekend, I'm not available. And I'm like, great, then you're not a part of my team because we do whatever it takes to produce the result. And we don't ask people to work weekends. I protect people's weekends outside of events, right? Like we don't have a 50, 60, 80 hour work week culture. She's afraid that if she involves me, I'll change it. She's right. I don't want what she wants. So she needs to understand that and do it earlier so that I can change her notions because I'm not representing April. April's representing me in the things that I give people.
The reason that Kris needs me to run the company is one, because he wants his time back, and that's valid. He wants his time back so he can be doing the things that he's best at. But two, Kris exhausts people. If he's in the day-to-day on a project, things are never moving fast enough for him. And I've seen team members get so exhausted. And I think Kris knows that his level of intensity is just, his level of obsession can't always be matched by those around him. I know he can be bold and audacious, and the impulse is to push back just as hard. Just let things breathe sometimes. And then, in a leadership role, there may be times that you're asked to do things on weekends and evenings.
The frustrating part is that I pushed for weeks and months to have him look at the slides, go over the slides, and he does it the Friday before the event. If he wants me to be prepared for an event, it's so frustrating to not have that time and energy respected and to feel like I can do everything, but he won't meet with us until a week before the event, and then he changes everything. But if I don't have him to meet me, to get me the information I need in a timely manner, we're constantly pushing workbooks out the day before the event. We're constantly creating slides the day before the event. It would not have been an emergency with the slides, the limos, etc. if I could get him to meet me a little earlier. That's why I get so frustrated. Because this weekend, I was trying to potty train my damn daughter. And you know what that's like, because your daughter's a day younger than mine. So I'm trying to potty train her and be there for her. And I'm getting last minute requests from Kris, and I had to push back earlier, and I said, I'm on a weekend. And I know it's the weekend before the event, but I'm also a mom. And it's harder for me to be able, and I don't know if it's because I'm a mom or it's because of who I am, but it is harder for me to be able to divide my time. So I jumped on at 9 o'clock and I worked for 3 hours. And I'm fine with that. But in the moment, when my toddler's peeing on this floor because I'm answering a text from Kris, I am not in the space to do that. And my kids are growing up, and we're done having kids, thank goodness. So that will lessen But there are moments when I just can't. It's like that retreat, and I just said, no, I can't. I love what we do. We are partners, we create magic. But this weekend I pushed back because I had to for my sanity.
I like knowing what you do and don't like too, right? I don't want anyone to ever say yes because I'm Kris Krohn. I want them to really be, what I love about April, and I told her this, by the way, April and I are good. We're good. Like, she cried, I hugged, we're good. We had a genuine, as close as you can get.
I had a conversation with her too.
And I just let her know, I love you, you're the one. I am impressed beyond all measure of what we have here.
In thinking about the issue of whether Kris is too hard on the people around him, I think it's been a journey for him to understand that not everybody is him, and not everybody has that same drive, and not everybody has that same intensity. And I think there are times when he steps over the line.
When Kris asks something of me personally, I check myself and say, am I in Kris's world or is he in my world?
I'm going to do a quick intro on John, and when John's done, I'm going up for the real bio. I'm going to come up first, not Tyler Bennett. The team will set up the stage.
I'm going to come up after John, though, and do another seat if you want John's your AG.
Yeah.
I had not practiced sufficiently. I trusted too much in
I need you during this next session, and I need you in the session after.
I'll be there, no problem.
No. I need you as your best. So, close your eyes. Take a deep breath.
Breakthrough is the foundation for every result that anyone will ever experience in their life. Initially, when we're kids, we're very malleable. We're subject to learning from our parents, from our siblings, from school influences, and we're sponges. We soak everything up for better or worse. And what breakthrough magnifies is this truth, like gravity. We're gonna break it apart a little bit. Anytime you have an extreme emotional response and you couple that with an idea, that becomes a belief, like an operating system in the mind. And most people will have those memories of perceived trauma like that was. There was no real traumatic experience, but it was a perception of trauma. And some people have actual trauma, physical, emotional, spiritual, whatever, what have you, that locks in these emotional responses with these ideas. And left unchecked, this operating system will sabotage your results. That you're experiencing a result you don't like. Breakthrough is the process by which you can reverse engineer and create a new result. It's kind of like if you were to discover a virus in a computer that you knew was, that you originally in the computer, you see some indicators of malfunction, the computer's running slow, and you take your computer into a computer specialist and like, oh, there's a virus. You wouldn't have been able to see that virus without asking for help, and you can have that virus removed and replaced with effective software. Same thing happens in the brain. If there's a virus of what we call limiting belief that's sabotaging these results, breakthrough will allow you to identify it, extract it, and replace it.
But I can tell you that every year our team has a moment like this. And then it forces us to say, how do we build an SOP so it never happens again? Yeah. And then when you go into the future, with that SOP, we become unstoppable. Is that how it goes down?
Yeah.
That's how we got here.
Yeah.
Come here. You got this. I believe in you. And where you were wrong is you didn't betray trust and you didn't lose any. That's truth. Just look in my one good eye, okay? Love you.
So this, I love Breakthrough so much because it's a series of questioning reality. Practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes perfection, and Breakthrough is all about what are you practicing.
In my life, the secret to being me, you back up 20 years ago, I was a nobody, pencil neck.
Oh, he's getting a breakthrough, look.
The reason I believe that Kris is qualified is not only by his results, but by permission. And the reason I say that is because whenever a breakthrough occurs, permission is always asked. Do I have permission to facilitate for you? And the answer is not always yes. And if the answer is no, we step back. Say, that's okay. That's okay. You don't have to do this. And there's no ulterior motive, that we just walk. And that goes from person to person. So if you were to walk up to Kris, that would be because you believe he's qualified.
Yes, okay.
He's protecting himself
Kris has stopped in the past when they give a good belief, when you decide about yourself, he's stopped. He's digging now.
Violence. And you make yourself feel good about that by being protected, but you make yourself feel bad.
So when I look at Kris doing Breakthrough, I almost look at it as sort of a secularization of that same process that a Christian might go through to purge their heart, purge their mind, purge their soul, create a healthier way of looking at the world, and be able to move forward with it. Creating sort of a secular way that you can explain it is super helpful for people who have not been introduced to the idea of faith, who have no particular religion, but who are miserable and who are grasping for anything. I think it's a great thing.
I'm gonna leave the other 70 calories here. Thank you.
And
you got the gym too.
Well, dude, it is in here. I work out. I can't work out by myself, so I have my friends come over in the morning. We have fun. We do some P90X. We start, getting to the pull-ups and push-ups and getting all crazy. And then halfway through, we always stop because there's some business idea, something that comes up, put it on pause, and then go through, start writing things down. In fact, half of this book was written at 2 in the morning.
You can find video. I mean, I've seen lots of videos of him younger, and he's kind of a little bit more pencil neck and got a little bit of a gut. Definitely had a little bit of a dad bod before he really figured out. He figured out wealth and then pivoted to personal development, and that led him to want to fix his body. So the reason Kris turned to health, I think, and he could totally disagree with this, but I think millionaires get bored. And as I've had the chance to rub shoulders with a lot of really wealthy people, I found that it stops being about the money and it starts to be about achievement. And I think the same goes for Kris, is once he achieved a certain threshold in his wealth, the obvious next step is the thing money can't buy.
He really wants to be perfect, and he understands that the way that you do it is you get the best trainers and you stick with it step by step by step, and you put that singular focus in, and if you do that, you will reach the end where you have accomplished that thing. And accomplishing things gives him that surge of happiness. So the whole health journey is part of this being able to show I have accomplished something, and the results are here for the entire world to see.
And I think in his quest for longevity, for health, for fitness, he already is experiencing better levels of health than the average American does. I think his quest for personal health means he will live a longer lifespan and a higher quality of life for longer than the vast majority of people out there.
Kris believes that he'll live to be at like 120, 140. I don't know, maybe he will, by sheer force of will. But he treats his body that way because he wants it to be as strong as possible.
Where's the sushi?
All right, Clay, I think we need to heat this one up.
Honestly, he pushes it to the extreme. I think he really likes when something is hard. You see these guys that will run up mountains in nothing but shorts. No shirt, just shoes and shorts, and they'll go running in the snow because they're pushing what their bodies are capable of doing. And Kris definitely ascribes to that mentality that, like, if he's not pushing his body as hard as he can, then what's the point?
What happens is he pushes his body beyond its limits, and then he crashes. And he either just sleeps all weekend or he gets sick. His body makes him get sick, and he has to spend some time down. It's just the natural consequence of not listening to your body and trying to push it beyond what it really needs to be at. And that's the sort of thing that doesn't make it into the videos. There is a dark and there's a downside to all of this always being up that he has to live with.
Unless it comes up with something else.
His quest for always looking for that next better way of doing things means he goes outside of a lot of what would be considered typical American Western medicine.
That's a big rating.
Yeah.
Go deeper. You're still.
Yep. Yeah, can you bring something down?
So this is your lung. Triple warm. This is pericardium.
Our minds are so powerful. If we engage in something we believe is going to work, our bodies will respond to it. Now, what does Kris believe in this? He also has a super open mind to alternative things, if only because it puts him in contact with a new group of people that he can learn about, that he can learn from, and that he can have an influence on.
She got hit by something out here.
Oh, really?
And she's concerned.
She
She's
turned around
concerned
and
that she's not, yeah.
Okay.
Can you tell me what's happening? So she was doing something outside. She does all the cleaning and maintenance and that for George. So she was walking outside, doing something, turned and ran right into something. She's got a big knot on her head.
Where there was a gal, an employee who was injured and who was afraid to leave because She might lose her pay, she might get fired, they may think poorly of her.
Let's grab Carson or Chris Milner or Heather Berry, April. I want my best people here right now to help make the most responsible decisions, and then also help you have the best experience you can, okay?
And Kris, with cameras rolling, said, no, go get yourself taken care of. It's not a problem. We'll deal with it. Is that the real Kris, or was he just posturing? That was the real Kris. It absolutely was. He has a sensitive heart, and he is very generous that way. He was like, yeah, no, of course we'll take care of that.
Hey, can you just, your name, is it Ashlyn? Is that right? So, Ashlyn, here's something I want you to be aware of. As we go to the doctor, whatever that bill is, I'm paying for that, okay? Because I don't need you to not do what's right for you because of that. I got you covered on that. Can we be okay with that? I need you to be okay with that. Because right now you're in my care and you're in my house and you're in my stewardship. And that's something that I get to help provide for your experience because I'm here to provide a safe environment, a safe space. And the right thing right now is for us to get this looked at. And money cannot be a reason why we don't. So you have my word. My team will make sure that we get this taken care of. Can we be okay with that?
But then Kris was like, don't worry about it. Like, whatever bill you get, I'm paying for. Your lost wages for the day, you're covered. Like, you need to just not worry about anything. Go take care of it. So, yeah, which we all knew Kris would do. It's like not a big deal.
You know, when I was 18 years old, I had an experience that I had not expected. I actually had a near-death experience. Sorry, I'm a pretty good swimmer. My sister is not, and I was out there. We were out wading and wave jumping, and she was out much further than myself. But I remember getting to a spot where I couldn't touch the ground, and the waves were getting bigger. When I turned around to encourage my sister, she knew the danger, and she was actively trying to swim back, but she was getting pulled out. She wanted to swim back in and was having a difficult time doing that. And when I turned myself around, Lori was so far gone that I knew I was going to have to make a choice. I didn't think she was going to make it back in. The question was, could you live with seeing your sister drown? And I knew that there was no way I would ever forgive myself. So I jumped in. I did it knowing that I was probably going to lose my life because I didn't want to live with regret. We started trying to swim back in, but we were actually losing ground. This is the end, and I haven't done anything with my life. And I had an experience I'll never forget. I really did have that moment where I felt like my life was flashing. It was weird. It was over a period of a couple seconds. I saw everything in life that I felt happy about, but also ashamed of and guilty about. And I was looking back on my life and I said, if it were going to end now, would you be satisfied? And I felt desperate for a second chance. That day, I made a vow that I wasn't going to live with any more regrets. I wasn't going to live with any more shame and guilt. And I was going to live the most full, extraordinary life because we've only got one life to live.
Stage, okay. We're going to do pictures with each one of them.
By the way,
yeah.
That was super cool. Thank you for showing my images.
Oh, of course.
No, most people, that was super
I heard you can't do June. Cancel whatever you have. You want to do June. It's good.
Hey, I have a...
Just say yes.
No, my kid's first time visiting. It's already open.
How can I help you change that? It's just money.
For him, money is not about something that you hoard. Money is something you create abundance with. And so he's very abundant in that way, in how he looks at money and in, helping people. It's a very natural thing for him.
It's just that...
Meaning inconvenience, school schedules, I understand real life.
It's just that I already paid for that, and
I'm just telling you, if it's a money thing, involve me. Okay. There's
Hey.
no confusion, right?
Okay, but
There's
if I
nothing
come to you
normal
and I
going on
say
here.
I'm going to lose $3,000 to go to this,
Yes.
then I can't.
All I need you to do is create awareness for me.
No, I can't.
Listen, kids, I want you to listen very carefully. I'm not saying I will. I'm just saying I like to know my options, and I'm saying I value you. Listen, money is nothing more than a tool of exchange to surround myself with the right people. I know when I have the right people. Okay, so if it's an emotional or other thing, I understand that. But if it's a money thing, then inform me, help me understand, because maybe we can work somehow. I'm not going to produce hardship for your family. I want to be blessed.
Hard for me.
So don't worry about that part then. Just help me understand the difference. And if I can make up the difference and it's worth swapping with, then two good things will happen, right?
Yeah.
Hey, you're awesome.
Hey.
Keep being awesome. You're doing a great job for us. Deeply appreciate it.
Thank you. I love it.
love your photos, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One of Kris's spiritual beliefs, and one that I share, is that we have a spiritual duty to make the world a better place than we found it. And that the wealthier we get, and the more affluent we get, and the more resources we have, the more duty we have to deploy those resources for good.
A Utah entrepreneur and his foundation have launched a humanitarian mission that will take a group right into the war zone.
Really just feel called to help the people there.
Kris Krohn says his foundation began raising money just weeks ago and has already funded the first trip, thanks to entrepreneurs and others who felt motivated to help.
We wanted to do something more than just watch what's happening on the TV.
And I feel like this is a great way to give back and to help all the people get supplies there.
And for the man behind it all, the journey carries a lot of weight.
My father is a World War II refugee.
Krohn says the group is launching its mission from Poland, finding safe passageways through Ukraine with the help of security contractors.
We're really focused on choosing the safest routes possible, but at the same time, really trying to help the people where they're at with the needs that they have.
They hope their efforts will help relief in a war-torn nation.
We're just trying to help keep them alive and help them stay in the fight and hopefully keep their country. This is the team. This is the team to make incredible impact. And I just want to tell you all that I'm really, really, really grateful to have each one of you here. And, you know, when it mattered and I invited, all the right people showed up. So thank you.
When Kris said he was going to Ukraine, my first thought was, oh, dude, why are you doing this? But Kris and I sat down and had this long heart-to-heart where he essentially said, I've got to put my money where my mouth is. He said, if we're going to help people, then we had better be the ones running to the fire to pull people out, because that's what it means to actually impact this world for good. So I truly think that the Breakthrough Foundation is really, really great. So then the idea to say, well, we'll make money in real estate and business and other things, and we'll just give it away. We'll do a nonprofit where we don't have to worry about making money. We can just give it away and do good in the world. I'm like, that is awesome. That is something I can have an easy time getting behind, because then we're not trying to make money from it. We're just giving it away, and if people like it, great. And if they don't, well, it's free.
All of my friends here have come from America to bring these resources to you. And for the next 6 months, we're going to come every week and we're going to continue bringing these resources.
І наступні 6 місяців вони постараються теж надавати допомогу.
Thank you.
Дуже важливо для нас.
Kris has already made more money than he can spend on his lifestyle already. If his goal was to establish a comfy life, he could have checked that box 3 years ago and been done. But Kris is at a stage now where he gets more fulfillment from making the world a better place than he does from increasing his lifestyle. And so his drive for the foundation is finding a way to use his own resources and the resources of others whom he can enlist in a similar vision to do good in the world, whether it's through providing breakthrough or whether it's providing relief to refugees for all the conflicts going on in the world, whether it's providing humanitarian aid. His foundation is part of his spiritual expression of a belief that it is the duty of those who have to find effective ways to make the world a better place.
We are on the place where we have 2 mass graves, not 1, 2 mass graves. There was different tunnels with a lot of bodies inside, and the first mass grave was made in the first days, 14 or 15 March here, and guys from hospital, guys from this church just gathered the bodies on the streets and moved here and then buried here.
Kris, I know you're losing your voice. It's just me. Right now. We gotta go.
You know, he's human. At the end of the day, he's human, and he's just doing the best he can with the tools that he's been given.
That's how you warm up.
That's how you warm up, brother.
How you warm up.
I'm always warming up. Feels good. Oh, I'm so happy. So happy, man. Glad to be back again.
Welcome. I know that there's we had to open up our home to more people, and so I know that it meant that it was going to be a little bit tight and cramped. So come in just a little bit further. I want you to be able to see me.
And I think God has put people in this world with certain missions to do that for others.
When Kris Krohn reaches the end of his journey, when he is age 150 and it's time to check out and go home, I think he will leave this world being satisfied that he came in here and he achieved everything he possibly could. So I think looking back, he will be satisfied at the gift he's given the world and how he chose to show up in it.
I made a vow that I wasn't going to live with any more regrets, I wasn't going to live with any more shame and guilt, and I was going to live the most full, extraordinary life because we've only got one life to live.